When a next-generation VR game appears in the world that uses the most realistic and advanced technology, pathetic gamers rush to play the game, but tens of thousands of people get trapped in the game, unable to log out. Deaths within the game become deaths in real life, and in order to end this horrifying game, its most veteran and high-level player, Shin, keeps fighting, and finally reaches the final boss of the game. The boss is swift despite its large size, and even has regenerative abilities. But Shin keeps his composure and continues to whittle down the boss's health bar, ultimately defeating it with his secret moonlight blade. With the boss defeated, Shin acquires a number of titles, and since the game is over now, its players log out of the game one by one until only Shin is left. However, when he tries to log out, a shining bright light engulfs him, and he gets isekai'd in the game 500 years later. But this time, it's not a game, but a different world of its own. His stats have reached the maximum, but he can't log out of the game anymore or even connect with someone. He rolls on the floor like a depressed turd, and ultimately decides to use a spell that will guide him to his home. Passing by a huge kingdom, he finally reaches his home and sees some goons bullying an elf in search of Bob and Vegana. When the girl leaves the boundaries of the building, a monster gets attracted to her and the goons run away. As she waits for her impending doom, Shin saves her by defeating the monster. Going inside the Moon Sanctum building, the elf Tiara thanks Shin for saving her and asks if he knows her master, Schnee. Hearing the familiar name, Shin describes her features to Tiara to confirm if the Schnee she's talking about is the same one who is Shin's support character. However, he just tells Tiara that he goes way back with her, and asks her where she is now, but Tiara refuses to share anything about her, and only agrees to pass a message to her for 1,000 jewels. Shin only has jail in his pocket, and upon saying it, Tiara gets shocked, as a jail coin is only usable by a select number of species, and is worth equal 10 billion jewels. Because of how rich he is, Tiara asks Shin which species he belongs to, and he tells her that he is a high human. High humans went missing 500 years ago in a major event in which people vanished. Shin thinks that the event she's talking about must be the time when he defeated the final boss, and realizes that he is now living in the game world 500 years later. He gives Tiara the jail coin for free, and this gesture allows Tiara to open up a little with Shin. So she tells him that she has been cursed with hairs of misfortune, and monsters attack her because of it. She was kicked out of her village as she was a danger to everyone, so Schnee conjured a special barrier for her that allowed her to live in the Moon Sanctum safely for 100 years. Shin starts examining her curse and quickly uses a purifying spell to nullify the curse. Some of her hair turns back to normal, and with tears in her eyes, she thanks Shin, and he takes her outside to walk freely under the blue sky after 100 years. Shin plans to go to the nearby Berelict Kingdom, as he thinks that he needs to learn more about this world and find his support characters. For his ease, Tiara gives him a letter of introduction that would allow him to get into the kingdom easily. With that done, he makes his way to the kingdom and goes to the Adventurers Guild to register as an adventurer. He meets Celica and then her twin sister Silica before getting something to eat. Celica gives him some food and sits right in front of him while he's eating his food, which makes him uncomfortable. Celica wants to verify the letter of introduction's authenticity, and when he agrees to it, the guildmaster Barlux takes him to a room. He confirms the letter's authenticity by placing a similar letter right next to it, which makes it glow and signals that the letter is authentic. He then proceeds to tell him that a letter of introduction allows a person to enter most nations without an inspection, and even allows an audience with the king. At night, Shin goes to a nearby inn to sleep, and goes back to the Adventurers Guild the next morning to receive his guild card. He is the lowest rank as of now, so he takes a job to harvest hilk grass and goes to a nearby forest. Collecting hilk grass was a beginner quest in the game, but in this world, Shin tries to find it for 3 hours, but fails to do so. Suddenly, he sees a monster in a monster detector radar, and sees that the monster is a level 359 Skullface Jack. He sees a destroyed cart nearby and remembers some people talking about people getting killed by this monster. He then attacks the monster and trades a few hits with it before dealing some damage to him. However, his sword is worn out, and he has to finish the battle in the next blow. So, he removes the limit on his powers and hits the monster so hard that he falls to the ground, and the broken sword is sent flying upwards to the sky. The dead monster drops a gemstone that he collects, and this gives Shin nostalgic vibes of his gaming days. His sword, apparently, went right towards the royal castle and into Lady Riona's room. She tells her servant to find out what the sword is from, as the sword is legendary, and she thinks the person who is using it must be strong. Roaming around the kingdom, Shin sees a bunch of bloody and battered dudes who were attacked by the Skull-Faced Jack before he defeated it. Going back to the Adventurers Guild, he tells Celica that he has defeated the Skull-Faced Jack, but even when he shows her the gemstone he collected from the monster, Celica still finds it hard to believe that this goofy-looking, weak-ass bitch defeated that thing. Her colleague, Else, then comes to verify the authenticity of the gemstone, and to see if it is actually collected from a level 359 Skull-Faced Jack. Shin tells her that he has no way to prove that he defeated that monster except for the gemstone, as he didn't collect any of its gear, since it wasn't up to his standards. If what Shin is saying is true, then Else feels like he is stronger than an A-rank party, so Shin tells her to keep it a secret, as he doesn't want to attract attention. He then goes to eat something, and a scary-looking bloke named Wilhelm sits right in front of him. He has a legendary weapon at his disposal that can suck the life force of the monster he kills, and that's why he's given the nickname of Vampire. He can tell that Shin is wearing high-grade armor and feels amused that he isn't scared of him like the others. After eating his food, he goes to the library to study the history of the kingdom, and meanwhile, Barlux holds a meeting with some important people to discuss the Skull-Faced Jack that Shin had defeated. The people there want to know the person who defeated the monster that has killed and injured so many people, but Barlux refuses to reveal Shin's identity, saying that the person told him to keep his identity hidden. Riona's servant then asks him about the sword that flew into the castle, since he believes that it is connected to the person who defeated the Skull-Faced Jack, and tells everyone that the sword's rarity is equal to the king's sword because of the enchantments on it. As the sun is setting, Shin is sitting by a fountain eating some meat, and a beast girl stares at him until he offers her some food. The girl, Millie, thanks him for the meal, and Wilhelm comes to pick her up, revealing that Millie lives in the church's orphanage and occasionally sneaks out of it. Before going away, she tells him to rescue an injured fox in the woods. The following day, he goes to the Moon Sanctum and gives Tiara a sword, asking her to tell Schnee to meet up with him if she recognizes it. He also gives her one-way messages to inform him if Schnee responds, and gives her a few extra envelopes when she requests them. He then goes to the woods, and a mysterious voice keeps telling him to leave. However, he ignores it and keeps on going, eventually reaching a shrine. Upon entering it, he hears something strange and finds a cursed and poisoned fox lying in the middle of a magic circle. He heals the fox, when suddenly he sees that a bunch of skeleton monsters have surrounded the shrine. Pulling out a polearm, he defeats all the skeletons effortlessly, but then he sees two fox statues breaking up, and two monster foxes come forth from them. Their level is almost double that of the Skull-Faced Jack, and they have the properties of fire and ice, respectively. Shin binds the monsters with shadows, but they release a mist that blocks his vision. The fox use the darkness to attack Shin, and it's difficult for him as he can't see them, and can't even use his full power because of the little fox. The magic circle the fox was in is glowing, and the little fox signals to him to go there. Once he enters the magic circle, he can see the foxes in the mist. He puts the little fox down and binds the foxes in heavenly chains before finishing them off with a single attack. Afterward, the fox jumps on him happily, and upon checking out its stats, Shin realizes that the fox is a top-tier monster called the Elemental. The cute little fox then sits on his head, and, elsewhere, Schnee opens up a message sent by Tiara and learns about Shin. Hey guys, if you like this video, don't forget to drop a like, comment, and subscribe like the DGen weeb you are. Okay, thanks, bye, see you next time.